Hey everybody, what's going on? It's your friend James Shaw. Thank you so much for choosing to be with us as we do what we always do, which is learn from elite people who are doing elite things at a high level. And we've really got that today with Matt. Matt, how you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. Would you introduce yourself to everybody, tell them who you are and where you are and a little bit about your business?
Yeah, my name is Matt Lunden. I am in sunny coastal Delaware, as I always say to people. Delaware does exist despite what people think about it being so small. My business, I run a small team here. So it's me, one other agent, and a couple admin support that we utilize. Um, Last year, we did about 60 units for 36 million, 37 million, somewhere in there. And then this year, we're on pace. If we use Gary's math, we're on pace to do about 100 units. So we'll see where that shakes out at the end of the year, but it's been a fun ride, and the majority of our business comes from social media, and more specifically the YouTube piece of social media.
That's great. Last year selling over a house a week. This year on pace for 2 houses a week, and a big chunk of that business comes from what you're doing on YouTube, which is what we're going to unpack. So, how did you get to
Yeah.
that? How did you pick YouTube as a platform?
So I stumbled into it, believe it or not. I started in the business in 2019. I was working for another agent, kind of as an assistant. 2020, obviously, the world shut down here. It may have been different in other markets, but we weren't allowed to practice real estate for a little while. So 2021 came around. I started seeing some success. I think some of that was just from longevity in the market and doing the activities. And I stumbled upon a Facebook group, believe it or not, that was YouTube for real estate agents, basically. And I joined it on a whim, kind of started looking at what other people were doing. And I was like, man, it seems like these people are also so successful. I wonder what the catch is here. So I DM'd one of them and I was like, hey, what's the story? And he said, I make videos and people call me. And I was like, it's not that easy. But I figured if he could make videos and people could call him, if I made videos, would people call me? So I started, and that was probably the biggest hurdle. And 3 videos in, I got my first phone call, and I was like, that's the proof that I needed. And from then on, I just kind of committed that this was going to be the thing that was going to change my life and change my business.
It's really good. I'm proud of you for doing it. We see the same thing, by the way. We do a lot of stuff on YouTube, and that's how people find us, and we build a relationship, and they want to be in business with you. So it's really cool. And yet, it could be nerve wracking, right? You got to get on, you got to do stuff, you got to have content people are interested in, and some things land and some things don't. So take us back to the early days of you setting this up. I imagine you had some fears, and you made some mistakes along the way too.
Yeah, so I'm notorious for being the person that takes forever to take action. It's actually something that I'm working on with my coach. We recently had a discussion of how can I get into action faster. So I had found this Facebook group in June of 2021. I didn't film and post my first video until August of that year. So it took me 2 months of like analyzing every little thing of like, how do I get it perfect? How do I do this? How do I do that? And ultimately, like, this starting is just what I needed to do. Now, if you go back to the first videos, I've never deleted a video, but if you go back to them, you can tell that I am petrified to be on camera in those first couple ones. I can promise you that like this conversation that we're having would not have happened back in 2021, but now it's something that's a lot easier for me just because of the repetition of just doing it over and over. But I was just putting out videos that were content about my area, things that I thought people would want to know if they were moving here. When I looked around my office, the people that I saw were very successful were people that had a lot of relationships throughout the marketplace. I had just moved back to Delaware after not living here for over a decade. So I didn't really have those contacts of people that I could call to buy and sell real estate. So I needed to find a platform that could help me find those people. And I needed to find a group of people that weren't already in contact or weren't already in relationship with a real estate agent. So I just focused on people that were moving to the area. And so a lot of it became the content of like, what's the pros and cons of living there? What's the cost of living there? And then just like, hey, everybody always tells you if you go on like a Chamber of Commerce website, I've never been on a Chamber of Commerce website that has ever told anybody that their area has a bad day. They all think that like it's sunshine and rainbows nonstop. And I knew that wasn't the case. So I just gave my true opinion on a lot of things, which started building trust with people. And again, the calls started coming in pretty quickly. So 2021, I closed that year doing about $3 million, $4 million in business, I think it was. Then 2022, I did just over $11 million in business. And the only difference was YouTube. So it's powerful and it can happen fast. Now, you certainly make mistakes along the way, but you learn those. You're never going to say the perfect thing on camera 100% of the time. But the beauty of it is, especially on a platform like that, is you can edit all of the idiot things that you say out in post. So it certainly became a process of learning, and now I can get in front of a camera and talk for hours on end with, a lot of times I feel like I need to stop with how much I can talk. But again, it certainly was not the case a number of years ago. And again, the first step was just setting up the camera and actually filming. I filmed in a unfinished basement in my house at the time. Just happened to be where I had an open space that I could set it all up. And, now I've got more of an actual studio that I use.
That's really great. So imagine you've learned some keys to what works and what doesn't, how long video should be, what should topics be. Can you walk us through some of your keys so that people who are thinking about doing some YouTube stuff would have a good reference point?
Yeah. So the biggest one is really consistency there. When I was looking at options to get business from social media, the people that I was talking to that were big on like the TikToks, the Instagram, those kind of platforms, they were saying like, I'm posting 5 and 7 times a day. And I heard that and I was like, I'm out. Like, if that's what it takes, like I can't keep up with that, just because I know that like that is too much. So I talked to somebody about YouTube and they're like, yeah, just post 1 video a week and that's all you need. So that's where I started. And then I started playing with more of like the length of the videos. YouTube, if you've ever watched a YouTube video, once you see like the ad in the middle of the video that you're watching, the video has to be 8 minutes long or more in order for that ad to play. So as soon as you post a video that's at least 8 minutes in length, it signals to YouTube's algorithm that they can make some additional money off of you through ad revenue. And so they push that video to a little bit more people, or a bigger selection of people. So I always went in with the goal of like, I want this video to be at least 8 minutes. Now, there was some times where it was a 5-minute video and that's what got posted. But certainly if you can get to that 8-minute time frame, it definitely helps you get in front of more people. And because I built the platform knowing that, or built my channel knowing that, most of my content is that length. Now, I've had some videos now that are 43 minutes in length, but most of them, at least if you hit the 8-minute mark and if you're posting consistently, YouTube's going to find your people as long as you're putting content out that people want to watch. And again, a lot of mine was, what's just life like here? Like, what does living in Delaware truly look like? Again, from the cost of living, like how does it compare to other areas? Or, what are the top towns that people are moving to if they enjoy bike riding or if they enjoy going kayaking? If you speak to the people, I always tell people, like, if I put myself in their shoes, like what would I type into Google, for instance, that I would want to know about an area that I'm moving to? And then I would just spin that and like, how do I make a video about that kind of stuff?
It's really smart. Great way to come up with content. By the way, you put together a one-pager of best practices on this stuff that we're sharing with our Inspire Collective members. So Inspire members, you can go into the portal and download that. If you're not an Inspire member, you can get information on it at jamesdshaw.com. Just click join Inspire. So thank you for doing that.
For sure.
I appreciate it. Let's take a look at your YouTube page or your YouTube channel. I think it's really awesome. You've done a lot of good stuff. There's some keys that stick out to me. We just talk about, first of all, like you got your cover photo and all this stuff. I imagine this is very purposeful how you have this thing set up.
Yeah. So again, check with your local board of real estate or realtors. For us, our company name, the brokerage that we work for, has to be on all of our marketing pieces. So I deem this, and I think most associations would deem this as a marketing piece. So my brokerage name needs to be on there. But I started with living in coastal Delaware. That's where I live. So I just put in kind of, if somebody again were to type in like, what's it like living in coastal Delaware? I wanted to have the most opportunity to show up as possible. So that's how I ended up with that. You just clicked on the description there. I made it very keyword rich. It says Delaware probably about 30 times throughout that in a number of different ways. And then I also included like some information in there of how you can contact me. I never wanted somebody to feel like they couldn't find my information. So we put as much information as we could into the world and then let people kind of meet us where they want. So we put together a buyer survey, which is just a Google form. It doesn't ask a ton of questions, but it's in that description. And then again, the videos that you're looking at there, that one that says, I wish I knew. I mean, that thing's 2 years old and it's still showing up on our main page there. Now, the one that's directly next to it is only a month old. You can certainly see a little bit different quality and that kind of stuff as we, if we're to dive into it, just because I've upgraded editors. I've upgraded the process to where now, I was doing all my own editing and everything from the start. And now I've got all that leveraged out. So it's a lot smoother process, and it's a lot more polished product that we're putting out into the world, which has translated certainly into the amount of business that we're getting from it and the number of leads that we're getting from it. Over the last year or so, depending on any given week, we've averaged somewhere between 3 and about 12 leads per week, which again it's changed my life, and it's changed our business completely. I mean, we're building a team based on content now, where it wasn't possible just a few years ago.
It's really pretty cool. If you look at this one, it's like a lot of stuff I do. It's talking head, right? So that's you talking in the mic, doing the thing, and then you're just laying some B-roll over it. I think when someone looks at it, they could get kind of overwhelmed. But when you walk through how this one's done, this is not you shooting all this and editing all this. You're the idea guy, you're the script guy, and you come up with it. Would that be fair?
Even at this stage, I've actually leveraged some of the script writing and stuff and the research out to, other people. Now I'm mostly just the on-screen talent, quote unquote. But yeah, I mean, even from the start, when I was doing my own editing, I didn't go out and film all those things because I knew that was the labor intensive piece. So I partnered with the person who does all my listing videography and photography. And I just said, hey, like, what number would you feel comfortable going around to each individual town and just shooting a bunch of B-roll for me? I would like to get somewhere between 40 and 50, 1 minute long clips of each town. What would that cost me? We came up with a number that worked for both parties. I was happy with it. He was happy with it. And now I've just got a Google Drive folder that's filled with footage of the different towns that I operate in. And my editor just pulls from those as he needs for the different ones, like the video that you were just showing. But yeah, now I am a lot more leveraged out. Again, as things have grown, I've been able to take some of those things off of my plate and hire other people for them. So my time intensity has gone down because, obviously we get dragged in a million different directions as we start to grow companies, and finding the people that are better at those things. I can promise you, if you go back to my first video again, I joke about it all the time. A, I look terrified on camera, but B, the editing process is terrible. Like, I didn't know editing software. I didn't know how to use it. I was using iMovie because it was free on my MacBook laptop that I had. And now it's leveraged out to somebody who probably uses like film or one of the Apple ones or the Adobe Photoshop software, which is a lot more robust and a lot more powerful than the iMovie one that I was using that was for free. So certainly it's a funny process that evolves with time. But if you, again, like we say in the real estate business so often, is if you treat it like a business and you grow it like a business, it'll take care of you.
I mean, everything will evolve over time. So if someone's looking and watching and you're going, all right, I want to get on YouTube, like literally you could start with your phone and some pretty simple editing and let it build from there.
The first video I posted was my film on a ring light, like tripod thing. And it was just sitting there and I just talked to it. I'm like, again, I look terrified. Now I've got, a lot more professional cameras and microphones and all that kind of stuff, just because I've had the money come in that I can then reinvest back into the process.
Yeah. So it's okay to do that. How do you know, like when's the time to start to change what you're doing? What's the moment that you go, all right, it's time for me to stop editing this. All right, I need to upgrade my equipment. Is there kind of just a way to know that it's time?
Yeah, you go to a Keller Williams event and you talk to somebody else that's performing on the same platform. And then when they ask you who your editor is, you say me, and they tell you that's ending when you get back home. At least that was my experience. I talked to Sarah Mislowski she's in Atlanta. She asked me who was doing my editing, and I said me. And she said, Matt, when you get back home, please just call a few different people and get that off your plate. I waited too long. If I could go back and redo it all over again, I would have saved up some cash from the start and hired an editor from the start, because I now realize like the way they compile things, the way they do things is so much more aesthetically pleasing that I probably would have had even a lot more success a lot earlier if I had not waited so long to leverage a lot of that out. Now with the scripting piece and all those being leveraged out, I had an editor with me for about 18 months or so. I had somebody else approach me and said, hey, here's, what I would like to do. Is it, something that you'd be interested in? And so we gave them a shot. So the current folks that I'm with, I've been rocking with since just December of last year. So fairly new in the process still. But they're doing all the research, scripting, and editing for me. And they even post for me, which has taken a huge amount of time. That whole that entire process has been, you know, a lot of weight off my plate.
Sarah's great. I do whatever Sarah says. We've had her on here too.
Yeah, she's fantastic. She's fantastic.
You're doing it all. You're on pace to do 2 deals a week. I mean, that's really, really good. So this is your strategy. This is your play. This is what you do. This is your lead gen is these pieces. So give me the kind of, what's the rhythm as to how often you're posting? When are you posting? I'm sure you figured out some right moves when it comes to that.
Yeah, so we started at 1 video a week. We're still pretty much at that cadence. Occasionally I'll post like a short, which is YouTube's version of like an Instagram reel. Occasionally I'll post one of those, but yeah, we're still at 1 video a week. When I happened to hit post the very first time, it was noon on a Wednesday. So that just became my posting time for the first probably like 2.5 years of having a channel. My videos went out at noon on Wednesdays. Now we look at the analytics. We figure out about when our people are going to be online the most. For us right now, it's either Sunday or Mondays afternoon. That time starts at around 6 p.m. So we post our videos around 5 p.m. or so on either Sunday or Monday. That way, when our people are on the platform, they have fresh content to look at. And it's, again, we've seen a lot faster view counts. Our views have gone up significantly, particularly in those first couple hours, because we've paid attention to when our people are actually on the platform. But again, 1 video a week seems like it's pretty doable. And like you just said, it's my lead gen. So every Monday afternoon, we're actually in it right now, but every Monday afternoon, I've got a few hours blocked. It says lead gen on there, but this is my lead gen time. I'll go film a video after this. My editor will have it for the week. I'll get the first copy back on Friday. And then by Sunday, we've got a finished product.
And then are you putting stuff in the bank? Like, are you working way ahead so that you've got, or are you shooting next week's content this week?
That all depends. So I was never somebody who wanted to film like 4, 5, 6 weeks in advance. And my only thought process was there may be something I'm saying or I'm talking about that is relative to like the now. Now, certainly I'll most often script out 3 or 4 videos at a time and I will film them. But if there's something that comes up that is more timely that I think needs to be, prioritized, I'll send it to my editor and just say, hey, let's push one of those other videos back a week and we need to fit this one in.
Okay. But I
just because
like, you could work in advance, because I imagine most of your content's pretty evergreen anyway. So you could work in advance, but then other times you just need to be in the flow of the market. I love that. Great stuff today. What would be your kind of final pro tip you'd want to share with somebody who's thinking about leveraging YouTube as a platform?
The biggest one that I think everybody is most hesitant, and I was there as well, is just start. It's not going to be pretty. I promise you, you're not going to have a Hollywood produced video after your first try. Just get started and just start making the content and stick with it. You can't post 1 video and then say, oh, it didn't work. You know, I went into this expecting to put in 6 months of a weekly video, and I wasn't sure if I was going to see a return, but I knew that that was the commitment. Just like if you were to send mailers or start making cold calls, the likelihood of the first one hitting and the first one being, productive for you is probably not very high. And it's going to be the same with any social media platform. Like, you just have to stay consistent and just trust the process. And then each and every week, just try and get 1% better. That's all you have to do. Like, maybe you watch your video back and like, oh, I should have added this text there or this, transition there. You start to pick up on those things, obviously, as you get more comfortable on the platform. But the biggest one that everybody always says, like, they just don't start for whatever reason. So if you can go out and just film a video, you'd never have to post it somewhere if you truly don't like it, but at least just get started and the process will become a lot smoother once you have.
And I imagine that you have videos even now that you think this one's going to be fantastic and people are going to love it and nobody likes it at all. And then you got stuff, this is a total throwaway. I've got my thing out this week and it blows up. That's what I see for some of my stuff.
Same exact way. Yeah. No, there's times where like I film a video, I'm like, oh, that's gonna be a banger. Like, that one's gonna be a hit. And then it's like, oh man, like, 125 people viewed it. Like, what happened? Like, I thought that was the one. And then there's ones where like I'm like tired and I don't really want to do it. And like, that's the video that completely takes off and does so much better. I'm like, trying to figure out every little minor detail in the algorithm, I think, is impossible. But it is funny how so many times I think that like the video content, I'm like, I know, like, they're searching for this one, because you can look all that kind of stuff up as far as like how often things are being searched for and stuff. I'm like, oh man, this thing's got like the perfect amount of searches, the perfect amount of engage. Like this is going to be a hit. And then I log on like an hour or two after it's posted. I'm like, oh, that one didn't do so well. And it's like,
The lesson is let's not get tied to the outcome of any one thing. It's about consistency. It's about creating your library. It's about getting stuff uploaded. And over time, there will be a payoff. You just have to trust that.
Yeah. And most of the people I talk to now, I actually hung up a call just before this. Most of the people that I talk to are, hey, we've been watching your videos for the last 2 years, or we've been watching every video for the last 7 months. And now we're coming down to look at homes, in the next 3 weeks. Can you meet with us? We don't really have a conversion problem. The people that reach out to us, they've kind of already made up their mind. So they either transact with us or they don't transact in the state, which is pretty powerful for us. Because I know that I'm not going into a meeting against 7 other agents or anything like that. Like these people have already made up their mind because, again, most of them feel like they know us. You can look at on the back end of YouTube, as you're familiar with, you can look at the analytics of where people are watching your content. And we have something like 68% of our people are watching our content on a smart TV. Now, what that tells me is like, I don't watch the nightly news. I know most people like my age probably don't watch the nightly news. But I can still tell you the people who were the anchors every night when my parents watched the nightly news. And now I'm equating myself to being like almost like the news anchor about Delaware in their living room. So these people are choosing to sit on their couch, pull me up and put me on their TV, which has a tremendous amount of market share and a lot of power in their mind.
And they're probably watching more than one video. Like they're
Yeah,
watching
for sure.
and then they're sitting down because they've made this decision to move to Delaware and they want to learn about it. You're the resource. You're it. You're the guy. They have a relationship with you. It's bottom line. It's how it works. Matt, thank you so much. And thank you too for what you're doing for our Inspire community. Again, Inspire members, he's got this one-pager of best practices at jamesdshaw.com. Just log into the portal. If you're not an Inspire member, you can get information about it there. But Matt, how can somebody find you? Tell them where they can follow you.
Yeah, the easiest way is to find me on Instagram. It's just and then my name at Matt Lunden. So that's the easiest place to find me. Otherwise, you can find me on Facebook, again, by my name. And if you have anybody or if you're ever in coastal Delaware, I'd love to at least chat with you, maybe explore the area a little bit. But I think it's a pretty great place to be. And if I can ever help anybody, don't hesitate to reach out.
Matt, thank you so much. Appreciate you.
My pleasure. Absolutely. Thank you.